Hey, what's good, guys? My name's Chris. This is my wife, Jody. We are going to be talking about Avengers Endgame because that's what you guys wanted on Instagram. Put up a poll. Actually, first I put up a blurb.
And it went crazy.
And then everybody freaked out. And I was like, look, guys, like you can't... This one person, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he was like, I completely disagree with you. And I was like, what exactly are you disagreeing with? Because this is what I said. Like, if we're just gonna take what I said for, like, at face value. It was a visual spectacle, and I did enjoy it. However, it felt like there were a number of plot holes. It was awesome, but not as epic as Infinity War. So the guy, like, completely disagreed with all of that little bit. That's fine. You know what I mean? A lot of people are questioning what plot holes are. So before we get started, the dictionary's definition of plot hole is it is stated as an inconsistency in the narrative or character development of a book, film, television show, etc. So if there is any inconsistencies or anything that contradicts what they've said previously, that by definition is a plot hole.
Yes.
Okay. So now that we've got all of those things established, we're going to talk about thoughts about the movie and all of that stuff. I'm going to go back to Instagram, take some of your guys' thoughts as well, because I thought a lot of people, whether they agreed or disagreed, I thought that everybody had a lot of, at least the people that spoke a lot or typed a lot or whatever, like they had like a lot to say, which is cool. Just yes or no. Did you like the movie or did you dislike the movie?
Oh, I like the movie.
Okay, because that's me too. If we're just... super simple, yes or no. It's a yes from me. I liked it.
I never worried about falling asleep because sometimes there can be those lulls.
I had no idea what I was like. I thought I was gonna piss my pants multiple times.
Oh my gosh. Should I go now? Should I go now?
Oh man, I was trying to hide, or not hide it, but like get it out, like, oh. And I did have to pee through the movie, but like I was like,
The lady next to me brought in an alcoholic beverage, and I was sitting there being like,
as soon as you break the seal, man, you're screwed.
how are you going to get through? She only got up once. I was impressed.
There was people that I see get up, and I was just like, should I? No, didn't. I just held it. The movie's 3 hours, very long movie, really intense. You know what I mean? But what I meant by... Sorry, I'll let you talk in a second. But like what I meant by didn't feel as epic as Infinity War was simply that Infinity War from start to finish felt epic in scale. Like the entire thing, like the premise of the movie felt like holy shit, because like they were getting attacked in multiple locations, you know what I'm saying? And so like you had New York, was it Wakanda? Like there was like, they were dropping those things like to greet
nowhere.
Yeah, to greet Thanos, telling you like, hey, you know what I mean? And like that to me felt super epic. And it was the first time that I saw like all of these characters really together. Like we've seen them in Civil War or, you know, Black Panther and stuff like that, like little hints of like other characters acting together, but nothing like that. It didn't affect me in that same weird emotional way that movie did. Like this movie Endgame did not. So that was cool, because that was a thing within itself where like I couldn't control my emotions in Infinity War, because like so much stuff was going on that I never thought would ever happen. And so like it was weird. So that's what I meant by the epic statement. And then just as far as like going through the movie, we're going to talk about spoilers, by the way. So like hopefully you've seen it. If you have not, don't watch this. The first half of the movie, or I wouldn't say the first half, the first part of the movie was f***ing awesome.
Well, so that's what I wanted to say, is because it is basically 3 hours. It's like 3 hours and some change.
It's like an hour episode to
so
get.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I wish it was almost released like how Game of Thrones is. Although I
like
get it, it's a
episodes?
movie where you got 3 1-hour segments.
But you did.
No, I know, but you had to do them all at once because you're
That's
watching
cool.
a movie.
No, hell no, because that's like Netflix, man. You just sit there and you binge 13 hours. You're good.
So they did a really good job of divvying up the acts.
Yeah,
like
well, that was something
split.
that I thought was funny, is that like it was like a definitive, like hour 1 is act 1, hour 2 is act 2. Like otherwise, like in like a, you know, an hour and a half movie or a 2 hour movie, like you don't know when each act starts. It just kind of like rolls into itself. The first part of the movie I thought was so dope. I loved the characters interacting, and it wasn't all, you know, sunshine and First off, I thought it was very coincidental. Captain Marvel ran into Tony and Nebula's ship floating there. Like, I thought that was very weird. Okay, because like theories before the movies and stuff like that, people were like, "There's no way," and I was thinking the same thing. Like, space is huge. Space is space. There's so much space in space.
Yeah.
How is that one? And she's a human, so she's a little thing in space, right? How is she gonna run into that? Maybe they were almost to Earth when they ran out of fuel, and so maybe her way home because the beeper thing, right? So like maybe her way home, she just happened to run. But I still think that's really like very convenient, okay? Not a plot hole, but just convenient. But when they got back, I thought that was dope. I love the way that Tony acted with Steve. Like it was not a like, hey, nice to see you finally since Civil War. It was where the were you, dude?
Right.
And stuff like that. And that's what I mean by, again, Infinity War felt so epic where like they were split. Like the Avengers weren't even together. You know what I mean? They didn't even have the chance to get together. Like things were happening all over the place. Wanda and Vision were in the UK with the other gem and all that stuff. So like it was so nuts. That movie just felt grander in scale. That you felt throughout the whole movie like, are they gonna make it? And then they didn't. They lost. And so that's why like I feel like Infinity War was so much more than this movie. However, the last hour of this movie is insane. That's what I meant by visual spectacle. It was like, you remember that one scene in Ready Player One at the very end?
Yeah.
And like there's all the stuff. That's what this was, but with just Marvel.
The end was a lot of, you could freeze any frame and you could see that as a poster.
Oh yeah, dude, it looked like a splash page in a book.
Yeah.
So the first hour I loved. The last hour I really liked too, just because of what it was. Like it was so crazy. Like that part was epic. The middle part, the time heist.
I love the middle hour though.
That's the thing though, is that it's so fun.
Yeah.
And the story that they made was so awesome, but the things that they did don't make sense.
Yeah.
That's
feel
my
like
thing.
It made them look really human. You can make a plan, but plans don't go according whatsoever.
No, especially when you have a emotional fat Thor, which was hilarious, by the way. I know some people didn't like that because they think that Thor is like just supposed to be the god, and he's look, man.
No.
Nobody's perfect, including Norse gods. You know what I mean? Or Asgardian gods. But that was hilarious. Rocket was sick, dude. Like Rocket was the man, the raccoon man. But like Cap was Cap, Tony was Tony, Ant-Man was surprising. He was kind of the brains behind the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like it was all his idea.
Yeah.
And he's portrayed as kind of a goofy dumbass, you know what I mean? Even though he's smart.
Anybody eating the sandwich?
The little quips and things like that are really cool. What happens to Natasha is interesting, but then the way that Bruce, first off, that was cool. Melding the two, that was hilarious. Okay, and then the way that they described, or the way that he explained time travel in the Marvel universe, because we've seen time travel, or I've seen time travel in all the movies that they referenced, in multiple types of comic books, alternate timelines, flashpoint paradoxes, all this stuff. So I know about time travel, okay? And I get that there's different ways to do it. So their rules to this was, I'm gonna bust out my whiteboard of science. Yes, I named it the whiteboard of science. So this is it. So this right here, this is the timeline. So this is the timeline of the Marvel Universe. And according to Bruce, it does not matter if Endgame is here. And then whatever that they do to go back to here, and they're trying to go to this point, and this point to get, this is just theoretical or whatever. This is their thing, right? Actually, there was one more. One of them wasn't even really time. They went to just get the Soul Stone before someone else did, but whatever. But this is the timeline, so they're going back in time to these points in times, and they're trying to achieve gaining all of the Infinity Stones prior to Thanos getting them. So this is going to be, right here will be Infinity War. So they're trying to get these stones before this point in time. And according to Bruce, it does not matter what you do back here, it will not affect this. That's their rule. I don't know how that makes sense, but whatever. Like, whatever is currently in the present is in the present. And it doesn't matter what you go and do in the past, is that you will always have this present. Now, what happens is that when you go into the past, and if you alter something, then what you end up doing is creating a different timeline.
Right.
But this timeline still exists. And so then if you go and do something here, then you create another timeline. Yet this timeline still exists, okay? So this is the part where I get confused with, because the one main plot hole that I have an issue with, they go all the way here, and as long as, this is the conversation that Bruce had with the Sorceress Supreme, is that as long as they go and put each stone back where they were, exactly where they got them from, because it's just...
These disappear?
Yeah, these things don't happen. So he does that, but Cap goes and stays behind, and then he grows to be old Cap. My main problem with that is that, one, S.H.I.E.L.D. was formed by Peggy Carter. with the help of Howard Stark and a few others, right? And the reason why that happened is because Cap became a popsicle. He became a capsicle. What he ends up doing is going back and messing with that piece of time, which means that Cap wouldn't be here because she wouldn't form S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that stuff. They would not have found Cap accidentally in the ice. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that part to me feels weird. That feels like an inconsistency, which would AKA be a plot hole. I love what they did with the character. I love that he got to grow old and be happy. And I love that Tony, who would never be a hero, he was just a rich hole with money and does what he wants, according to Cap in Avengers 1. I love that he got to be the hero. It was an awesome, epic ending to everything that came before it. It was great and all that stuff, but it doesn't mean that just because they took all of this and made that movie that I'm not going to be like, hey, wait a minute, what happened there, right? And then my biggest issue is that in this timeline, so if this is like Avengers 1 and then, I don't know, man, like whatever this is, like just make up some shit. Right? So what ends up happening is somewhere in between here, they run into previous Thanos. When they go to get the Power Stone, where they knocked out Star-Lord, hilarious. So they go and get the Power Stone or whatever, but that Thanos finds out. And then that Thanos then creates his own new timeline, but then inserts himself into here, okay? This is where I have a problem with everything. Whatever happens in the past does not affect the present, but that's not what happened here. He went from the past into the future, and then he got dusted, which means that he was not able to go and return himself back here in order to collect each Infinity Stone that they went and put back, and then have Infinity War happen, thus the results of Endgame. So now this all, my whiteboard of science makes a little bit of sense, right? Because that's the plot hole. That's the one.
That's the major one.
That's the major one. You could, there's other little ones, but it's okay. It's cool, because I liked, they had to do those plot holes to get to wherever they were getting to. I get it. And as a comic book reader, as a comic book fan, I get time travel. I understand the concept of time travel. That's why this doesn't make sense, even according to their own rules. Thanos jumped his own timeline, got killed here. That's the main thing. Like, you cannot go and die, because then you cease to exist previously. He will disappear, essentially. He will be Back to the Future. You know what I'm saying? Like, where you just cease to exist. And that's what happened here. And so if Thanos removed himself, he time jumped, okay? He went into the future and essentially altered his own past.
Ant-Man said that that's bullshit. Like,
no, but that's what I'm saying, though, is that there is no Thanos here anymore.
I'm just saying, if you're
there is no Thanos
comparing it to Back to the Future.
I'm saying is that there's no Thanos right here anymore. If this was Thanos' timeline, the purple timeline was his timeline, he just did that. So now there's just this and this. Mm-hmm. That's not a timeline. That's a break. It's an inconsistency. It is inconceivable, and I can't get past that one thing. It bothers me so much. Even though I love the movie, it's that one thing that does really bother me. Like all night last night, I was like, what? How? It was driving me nuts. You tell me how.
I watched this show called The Good Place, and there's an episode called Jeremy Bury Me. And that's all about time travel. And the guy in it, Chidi, he literally has a mental breakdown over it. And that was how he was acting last night. So everybody should go watch that episode.
I just don't understand how that happens. You removed yourself from the equation. Nothing happened after that. He did not collect the Infinity Stones. He did not snap his finger. He did not go to and constrain the giant's hands and kill his people and kill half of Asgard. He didn't break Loki's neck. He didn't do any of that stuff because he removed himself from that. He's no longer in existence in the timeline. Previously, it doesn't make any sense. It's super weird, dude.
Well, what was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene?
Yeah.
When Cap got Mjolnir.
Okay.
That was so epic, dude. There's 2 moments when I had said something out loud. I'm normally pretty quiet in a movie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to be respectful, all this stuff. There were times when I wanted to scream and be like, yes, but I didn't. And the first time that I said something was when Thanos got decapitated right from the jump. And I was like, damn, like, that was crazy. And it took me by surprise because, like, it's Disney. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, yo, that dude his head got lopped off. That was nuts. Like, they chopped off his arm first. And all I was thinking was, why didn't they do that last movie? You know what I mean? But then when they knocked his head off, I was like, oh, damn. But when Thor was getting his own Stormbreaker put through his own chest, and then all of a sudden, like, and he's calling Mjolnir, but like the thing goes boom and goes past it, and then comes back and U-turns and knocks Thanos down. and oh man, that was so dope. That and just the visual of Cap being the last man standing against Thanos.
That was a major poster moment.
And dude, it was just a dope visual, man. Him, the last man is Captain America, like just the way that it should be. Broken shield and everything. What a fucking badass, dude. So that was mine. What was yours?
Mine is silly.
What?
It
It's when he ate the sandwich? Like, what is it?
Ant-Man's sitting outside and he's going to eat his taco, and the ship arrives, and his taco just
Well, that's
gets
just a
blown
fun.
apart.
That's just a funny moment.
That
though.
was me the whole scene though, and then Hulk comes out and gives him 2 tacos, and it made me like cry because I was laughing.
Oh, that. Speaking of crying, when it was weird, like when Tony dies, that was pretty. It was heavy. It was emotional. It was all that stuff. It was kind of expected, but like
I didn't know it was gonna happen.
I didn't know who was gonna die. But then when he did the switcheroo thing with the stones, I was like, dude, there's no way for. Another plot hole is I didn't understand how these people were able to hold stones. It almost killed Star-Lord, and he needed like all of his homies to like help him out and everything, but whatever. The ending when he goes to pass the shield to Sam, that had me like, and I was like, man, I can't believe they're doing that. Because that's the thing that's what I really did like about the movie is like, even though that one thing with the Thanos stuff doesn't make sense to me, I loved the tributes. Even the Hail Hydra, that's a comic book dig. That's a new comic book thing, like a new storyline, but it's still a tribute to the books and all that stuff, to what's happened in another universe, I guess you can call it, a different Earth or whatever, because there's multiple Earths and stuff. I loved all the callbacks during that second act of like all the previous movies, all that shit.
Seeing all the
it was
characters
dope.
pop up, even if they didn't have a line, like Aunt
Oh yeah,
May was
everybody.
there. It was neat.
Also that kid that was in the funeral.
Who is it?
So he's the kid from Iron Man 3, the boy.
Oh.
Now he's grown up. So,
Okay.
yeah, and I did not recognize him. I had to go look him up. And I was like, who the hell was that? So that was him. But that's what I mean, is that they did such a great job of making everything else cohesive that one thing, like, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. Like, it just does. So Vigilante109, he says, overall, he liked it a lot, but man, the pacing was not great. I disagree.
I thought the pacing was good. Like I said, I wasn't bored. I had our 5-year-old sitting on my lap for 2 hours, and I wasn't sitting there being like, hurry up.
No, it was, to me, they had my attention from start to finish. They started it with a sad moment. They ended it with a sad moment. And yeah, it was just like, I thought that everything was cool, but I mean, like how you were saying that you wish that they would break them up almost. For me, like I could keep going. Like if I didn't have to take a piss, like I could literally sit there all day and just watch new stories of whatever. Like I can sit there for 13 hours. It's cool.
And this is why we can't Netflix together.
Because I binge the shit out of stuff, and she's like, you're already where? And I'm like, hey, I'm done. Nasty_N8 said, Infinity War was more epic, ? Your high is. I replied back with simply just be respectful, you know what I mean? Because I'm not trying to like downplay anybody's opinions or anything like that. I like his reply though, respectfully high. That's cool.
That's Nasty Nate.
Oh, okay, my bad. Nasty Nate. My fault. No, and then he said, Infinity War was obviously very epic, but the amount of moments in this movie were amazing. And that's what I think is the main problem, is that there was so much cool but that's my main problem, not with everybody else's opinion, but that's my main problem, is like, just because there was so much cool stuff going on, just because it was what are people calling it? Like a wrap up or whatever, like
They said it
a culmination.
sealed it with a bow.
Yeah, like a culmination of 22 films. I think all that stuff is great. It doesn't take away the whiteboard of science. The whiteboard of science says it all. Where'd Thanos go? He's no longer in the timeline. He removed himself from the equation. I'm not gonna go in. I can feel it.
Well, I think it'll be interesting in, say, about a month or so, once people have like gone and seen it a couple of times and it's died down a bit, to see how everybody feels then. Because everybody was so irate after the last movie. They were so upset that
About what?
That Thanos won. Like
that
wasn't
the
how
story.
Anybody wanted the movie to end.
What did they expect? Did they not read the books? He did it. Like, none of this stuff is a surprise to me. I get that they're not doing it identically to the comic, which I'm cool with, because, you want something, you want them to keep you on your toes, you know what I mean? But where'd Thanos go? That's my thing. Where is he? You can't just disappear and then not return back to the past to make the future.
It's not a reset button.
It's not a glitch.
No, I get it.
We're like, but rules, no, like there are rules. Like you can't just take yourself out of the past and then expect that you were there somehow miraculously at some point other in time in the future to do some big, dirty, bad deed, because it doesn't work like that. You're either present or you're missing, and he was missing. Alvin081988, I was disappointed with the Hulk. I was expecting him to have a rematch with Thanos. because he got his ass kicked right in the beginning of Infinity War. I don't know. I thought that Hulk was awesome. You know, it was cool to see Hulk not mindless and stupid and stuff. I love seeing, though, during the time heist, angry Hulk. Whoa, you take the stairs. So many stairs. it was hilarious. And then they f***ed up. And then Loki broke the timeline because Loki grabbed the Tesseract and then he disappeared, right? Meaning that the end of Avengers never happened, yet somehow, according to their rules, whatever happens, whatever you alter in the past doesn't affect the present, which doesn't make sense in itself. But whatever, I'm over it. Rich Drizzy says, emoji, this one, you know. For me, Endgame has been the best MCU Avengers so far, assuming there will be more later. I'm pretty sure there will be more Avengers movies. Like, there's no, this makes so much money, like, you'd be stupid to just be like, hey, we're calling it a day. We had a good 10-year run, we're good. Hell no, dude. They're gonna make more money. It's the same. This is essentially a crisis. This is their big moment of reset. They do this all the time in comic books, like every 10 years, and then they'll
do it with a new team.
No, just like DC does it all the time. The crisis, whatever the crisis is, it resets things. It makes the new 52. It makes this. It makes that. Whatever. It's very confusing, even as a comic book reader. But you know, that's just what it is. For me, the best Avengers movie is still Infinity War. I just think that one was awesome. I felt like Thanos was just stepping on my chest that whole movie. Like, I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Man_named_Addison, fight the internet snark culture wing. There was not a ton of plot holes in the movie. I have one main gripe, but that's about it. Avenues unexplored, yes. Plot holes, no. I disagree, because according to the definition of plot holes, the Thanos thing alone is a plot hole. Not only is it a plot hole, but it's a massive plot hole. Massive. And I'm not being snarky. I don't even know what that was. This is the be respectful portion of things. Like, if you didn't like the movie, I'm not going to be like, well, f*** you. You know? Or if you love the movie, I'm not going to be like, well, f*** you. Like, I'm just going to be like, what? Like, that sucks. Why? Like, you know, and we can talk about it. We can have fun and stuff. So yeah, I don't understand that, but whatever. So Chris B, 74, I want to know what happened to the hammer. He didn't bring it back once he took it to the past. Didn't he take Mjolnir and the stones back?
So you think he jumped that many different times?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Because I was wondering, I had asked you too, being like, where's the hammer?
I'm pretty sure
he needs to give it back to him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he brought it back because it needs to get destroyed by Hela and Ragnarok. And that's the thing about the timeline thing that I don't get either, is that if what you're doing by taking the stones from the past and bringing them into the present and changing the current present, like, why bring them back if what you're doing doesn't affect anything? Why have the rule if the rule means nothing? You know what I'm saying? Because according to the rule, just because you took the stones and you know, that doesn't mean anything. Depending on the time frame that, like, Clint and Black Widow go and take the Soul Stone and she has to sacrifice herself for it, like, if that's pre-Avengers 1 or pre-Iron Man 2, then she erased herself from the timeline, although that was her future self. So I guess that does count. Okay, that's not a plot hole. So see, like, that's what I'm saying, is like, as soon as there are things that are plot holes and there are things that are just confusing, that was just confusing, and I figured it out.
Although, I don't know if you can find the guy. What was the comment where they were saying, how do you give back a soul stone?
I don't know, because, like, they wanted to, that's the thing too, is that, so, like, Gamora, past Gamora, because present Gamora is dead, but past Gamora comes with Thanos, and she stays in the present, which means that past Gamora never happened. Yet the memories that they all have still are intact. So that makes sense as far as their rules go, but it still doesn't make sense as far as, like, then there is no Guardians of the Galaxy. 1 or 2, because those events with her didn't happen, at least not with her. But by removing her from the equation, something's got to change. So Julius Perving, he says, the best way I can compare it is Endgame was Return of the Jedi and Infinity War was Empire Strikes Back. Endgame was fun and it was crazy to see the payoff, but Infinity just had a better flow to it all. And I agree. I think that Infinity War had a more epic scale feel to it. It had that first time wonder, like the first time we saw Avengers, and then especially the first time you see the big wraparound scene when they're in the circle, the huddle, first time Hulk smash, you know, like, those are feels moments. You will never get those back. You only live those once. The emotional feelings that I had in Infinity War did not happen to me in Endgame. There was just some really cool epic stuff, like when he says Avengers Assemble, that was badass. And finally, it took 4 movies. It's just interesting how everything works.
I had more emotional feels during this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
When?
So when Tony was dying, more so
That's at the very end, though.
Seeing like it through Pepper as being a wife.
Yeah, and I remember you telling me about Ant-Man's thing. That did hit me too, when he realizes he missed his whole daughter's life.
He was so grateful that she was there, but he missed 5 years, like pivotal years. Yeah, those were the only parts where I was like, and then the tacos made me cry. But
of laughter.
But I didn't feel like that in the previous movie. I got sad when everybody was dusted, but I didn't get like, he was like a mess after that movie.
I had a different experience. Yeah, my experience, which I detailed in a different video on a different channel. You can click there if you want to check it out, because I was also a mess in the video. That movie really shouldn't have happened. So if we're talking about timelines, my timeline, when I'm in 8th grade or 7th grade, I was in art class, I was reading a Wizards magazine. And I'm reading all about the legal issues of why Spider-Man the movie can't be made, and didn't get made until I was in high school, like the end of high school. That took a long time to get there, right? Then all of a sudden, I'm still alive somehow, and I'm in not only in a world where there's Spider-Man movies, but there's an Avengers movie, you know what I'm saying? Or there's a Justice League movie. Not only am I in a world where there are those things, but then I watched a movie with all of the most obscure characters that have no business being together outside of the comics. Because inside the comics, when Doctor Strange comes and visits Thor, Thor visits Strange, or the Fantastic Four need Peter's help for something, or Peter needs their help because of a symbiote or whatever, none of that stuff is weird because it's all in that world. But in this world, you read about there was no way that Spider-Man was ever going to get made, then finally it did, and then there was an X-Men movie, and then there was it's so weird to me. And then all of a sudden, I'm watching the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're not even B-list characters, dude. They're like D-list characters. Doctor Strange, a C-list character. Iron Man, a B-list character. And Spider-Man attacking Thanos. What? Even when I think about it now, on the big screen, how did that happen? That's fucking amazing.
Well, and I applaud the MCU because I've always enjoyed all of their movies. Yes, there's the disbelief and all that whatnot, but...
Well, because she's not a nerd like me.
I'm not a nerd, but...
She prefers the animated stuff because she feels it's more believable. I do like the animated stuff. Like, I can get sucked into that, the Batman and all that, but then you take Batman and you throw him in live action and She doesn't care, even though I'm like, Rachel! So...
But the MCU has done a really good job in, like, getting me to be like, yeah, sure, why not?
It's interesting. So yeah, so that movie had a different impact on me than this one. That stuff already happened. You can't have that type of experience, like your first kiss or the first time that you do it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't relive those things. You know what I'm saying? Like, but when they happen, they're like the most amazing, epic moments ever. So that's like, that to me, Infinity War was that type of moment. One more, just because like we're running out of time here. Joe Smooth 30. Plot holes make for interesting follow-ups. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, Marvel addresses these either in future movies or continuity in comic books. Well, I don't know about that because this doesn't have anything to do with comic books. Either way, he'd love to see how they address these things. And that's again, the next movie is Spider-Man, Far From Home. He missed 5 years of his life, and all of a sudden he's still back in high school with Ned.
Well, I liked, he was listening to somebody talk, and they talked about how Peter was arriving back at school and supposedly he was not recognizing half the people, and he was seeing Ned for the first time.
But that's supposedly, because why? Like, did Ned get dusted?
It seemed like the way he was saying it was, oh, Ned probably went with him too, and
but that's only a maybe.
If we go that way,
it's pure speculation. So that's why I don't like listening to other people's thoughts. I think it's interesting, but I don't want to take into account because that's not what really happened. What really happened is they were dusted, they came back. Who else was dusted? We don't know.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man in the trailers, Far From Home, has all the same characters from the first movie. So you're telling me that everybody in his whole class got dusted? That's mighty coincidental. You know what I mean? Again, that's a big coincidence. So is that a plot hole? It's possible. We don't know yet. As of right now, yes, it is a plot hole. Are they going to address it in Spider-Man Far From Home? I hope so, because if they don't, I'm going to be like, how does this even happen? But my main thing, because we're going to end it at that, my main thing, again, just to bring back the whiteboard of science. This is such a cool,
with flags.
This is such a cool thing, right? The whiteboard of science, like this should be in like every video. Thanos takes himself out and over into the present / future, his future. He thinks that he's just inevitable, gets dusted, erases himself in this spot. Therefore, he cannot complete the timeline. How does that work? I would like to know your guys' thoughts. Please explain it to me. somebody with more nerd knowledge than me explain it to me. I
Make
would
us a video.
Really appreciate it. You don't have to make us a video. You can leave the biggest comment ever. I will read them. This is just my thoughts of the movie. I loved the movie. I loved the epicness in certain scenes. But at the end of the day, there's one main thing that doesn't make sense to me. And this is why time travel should not be used. Because this is, as fun as it is, it's a mess. As many time travel stories as I've read and watched, it's always a mess. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. You have anything else to say?
Go watch the movie.
Yeah, go see it. I need to see it again. Like at least one more time before I buy it on
Well, both kids
Blu-ray.
are back in school officially this week. Maybe we can sneak off.
Yeah, like go in the morning or something. So catch a matinee like old people. But yeah, so like let me know your guys' thoughts, especially like with my main question. You guys can leave as many thoughts as you want, whether it's on Cap or on Peter or whatever it might be and all that stuff. But why? How Gamora or whatever, right?
Why Gamora?
Well, it's like, why is Gamora? How is Gamora? How is Thanos? How is the present still the present when Thanos got erased from the past?
Maybe it's just like one of those things where it goes tails off and everything still kind of happens similarly.
No, it doesn't. It just doesn't. I understand as he's alive. And as long as he goes back, then everything does happen. That's the whole thing, is like when they went back, don't talk to yourself. Don't run into you.
I can do this all day. I know.
But you know what I mean? You can't do that. So now he's with this knowledge. That's what I thought was happening at first, is in Infinity War, he had that one line of, "You're not the only one cursed with knowledge, Stark." And so I was like, this is how he knows, because Nebula, I don't know how that happened either. That's not a plot hole. That just doesn't make sense. And he saw the future, right? And so he's like, oh, like he saw himself get decapitated. So he's like, hey, I did it. But you didn't, because you removed yourself from the equation. Anyways, I'm going to keep rambling about this until it makes sense, which it doesn't. So thank you guys so much for watching. That is my thoughts, our thoughts on Avengers Endgame. I keep wanting to call it Infinity War. The movie,
Part 2.
The movie did feel like just one movie. Somebody had left a comment about that too, like that Endgame and Infinity War just felt like one giant 5-hour fest, and I agree.
Could have had 5 episodes on Netflix.
Or just like watch them all at once. It's the same thing. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your support. Let us know what you guys think about everything down below. Theorize, explain away if you're, again, better at it than me. Maybe I'm totally off base. Maybe my whiteboard of science is not really good. I don't know. Thank you again, and until next time, guys,
Bye.
have a good one.